The brain is a far more open system than we ever imagined, and nature has gone very far to help us perceive and take in the world around us. It has given us a brain that survives in a changing world by changing itself. We see with our brains, not with our eyes. We often praise the ability to multitask. While you can learn when you divide your attention, divided attention doesn't lead to abiding change in your brain maps. Pain is an opinion on the organism's state of health rather than a mere reflexive response to injury. "Rabbit's clever," said Pooh thoughtfully. "Yes," said Piglet, "Rabbit's clever. And he has brain." "Yes," said Piglet, "Rabbit has brain." There was a long silence. "I suppose," said Pooh, that's why he never understands anything. The brain is deeper than the sea. The brain has corridors surpassing. This was the only shame he felt. And this shame was so great in him that he wondered if all his life thereafter would be long enough to wash out of his brain and blood and the last pollution of its loathsome taint. And yet, he would have it thought that he was bitter. No brain at all, some of them, only gray fluff that's blown into their heads by mistake, and they don't think. But her brain was not interested in the future. Loaded with the past and hungry for more, it left her no room to imagine, let alone plan for, the next day. The brain appears to possess a special area which we might call poetic memory, and which records everything that charms or touches us, that makes our lives beautiful. From the time you met Teresa, no woman had the right to leave the slightest impression on that part of his brain. From now on, you're going to have to think. There's a reason why we're born with brains in our heads, not rocks. He had been wont to despise emotions. Girls were weak, emotions, tears, were weakness. But this morning he was thinking that being a great brain in a tower, nothing but brain, wouldn't be much fun. Watch your thoughts. Every thought accepted as true is sent by your brain to your solar plexus, your abdominal brain, and is brought into your world as a reality. The enemy is our chattering brain, which, if we give it so much as a nanosecond, will start producing excuses, alibis, transparent self-justifications, and a million reasons why we can't / shouldn't / won't do what we know we need to do. If you only have brains on your head, you would be as good a man as any of them, and a better man than some of them. Brains are the only things worth having in this world, no matter whether one is a crow or a man. The great birthday bird. This bird has a brain. He's most beautifully brained with the brainiest bird brain that's ever been trained. There are times when those eyes inside your brain stare back at you. We have calcium in our bones, iron in our veins, carbon in our souls, and nitrogen in our brains. 93% stardust, with souls made of flames. We are all just stars that have people names. I'd love to watch TV all the time, but it rots our brains. Sometimes I wondered if I was seeing the same things through my eyes that the rest of the world was seeing through theirs. Maybe there was a glitch in my brain. So how, children, does the brain, which lives without a spark of light, build for us a world full of light? She has man's brain, a brain that a man should have were he much gifted in woman's heart. The good God fashioned her for a purpose, believe me when he made that so good combination. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not-so-good street. The human brain is an amazing thing. Sorry, Hannah. For someone with your brains, it will be a waste of time. You've just got to squeeze what you can out of it and wait for college. Then you can show the world how awesome you are. The brain is like a muscle. When it is in use, we feel very good. Understanding is joyous. Although highly sensitive children notice more, they do not necessarily have better eyes, ears, sense of smell, or taste buds. Mainly, their brains process information more thoroughly. Bird brain, thought Mrs. Frisbee, and then recalled what her husband used to say, the size of the brain is no measure of its capacity. And well she might recall it, for the crow's head was double the size of her own. He also discovered that when he touched certain parts of the brain, he triggered long-lost childhood memories or dreamlike scenes, which implied that higher mental activities were also mapped in the brain.